Offensive coordinator Tony Elliott.
They got so many questions. I don't know which one to ask first. Huh?
Hey, Coach, it's Lawton
Yes,
Swan, Clemson Sports Talk. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Hey, let me ask you just a little bit about the shots downfield today. Is that more so what they were giving you in terms of the looks defensively, or was that more or less Trevor's decision-making?
I think it was a combination of both. I thought we were a little bit off, down the field, missed a couple plays. They were doing a good job of making us convert some things and throw the low percentage throws. But I think we were off just a little bit, and so we just had to kind of regroup and figure out what's the best way to attack what they're doing defensively.
When a team's playing you guys that way as an offensive coordinator, I don't know if the terminology would be frustration that you get, but it felt like you guys were a little bit out of sync. Is that caused by that?
I don't think that was the shots down the field, what they were doing. I think it was just more function of, we just kept stumbling over our own feet, couldn't get out of our own way. We had a couple of penalties down there in the red zone. Guys, maybe making a misread, making the wrong decision here, a missed block there. So not as much, what Syracuse was doing. We knew they were going to come in and challenge us. I told our guys all week that, this is a team right here. If you're not careful, because one, they're scrappy, they're going to fight. They have confidence because they played us well in the past. And then also what they do defensively with all the multiple looks really, really challenges you to be locked in and very, very detail oriented. So I think, early on, we just never really got in rhythm, but it was more so, function of us making mistakes that kind of carried over. And then in that game right there, you're trying to, figure out what you're going to do. Then we were slightly off on the deep balls there. So then we try to go to some of the intermediate stuff, and we were a little bit off there too. So it was a great opportunity for our guys to grow and to learn and to understand the importance of, week in, week out preparation. I thought they had a great week of practice, but we just didn't quite come out with that same sense of urgency as we did last week.
Tony, this is Gene in Charleston. Are there any carryover concerns that you have, or, like you said, it's things that you got worked out?
No, carryover concerns, no, sir. I mean, it's all about us, and we talk about it all the time. Our standard is set. We know what the standard is, and today we didn't quite play up to that standard. And we'll go back, we'll watch the film, and it won't be as bad as you think. And then there'll be some things that you thought were good that you still need to clean up. So it's really about us going back and just recommitting to the process. And our guys have done a great job up to this point. Things have been, I wouldn't say easy for them, but kind of been kind of smooth, and so. From my perspective and my mindset, man, I welcome the adversity because it's an opportunity for us to humble ourselves and say, hey, look, nobody's going to lay down for us. We got to stay committed. We can't shortcut anything, and we got to bring that right mindset and energy every single day in practice and every single game, or you're going to have days like this.
Coach Alex Dodd from the Clemson Insider. How impressed were you with Travis and the grit that he showed to come back in the game in the fourth quarter and get a couple touchdowns?
I just think that's who Travis is. I mean, he's obviously a lot of people outside the program, think that have a perception of him as what a superstar should be like. But Travis is the exact opposite. He's a team guy. He'll do what you ask him to do. He wants to win. He's not necessarily coming back because he wants to score touchdowns. He's coming back because he wants to produce and help put his team in a position to win. So it doesn't surprise me. It's kind of the standard that we set. The expectation for him, and just happy that he was able to, go in third quarter, come back and bring a little bit of spark to us to help us find a way to win.
Tony, what was going on with him when he left the game there in the third quarter?
Just cramping. He was cramping up a little bit.
Tony, Larry Williams here. Did y'all think y'all would be able to move them off the ball more and establish more of a between the tackles running game?
I'm anxious to see the tape. Because we knew that coming in we were going to have to RPO a lot of things, and so a lot of call runs. I imagine if you hand it off, there's some running lanes there, but they keep an extra guy close to the box. So I knew that it was going to be a challenge, running the ball. I think that a lot of people may look at the stats, but when you go back and watch the film of the other opponents, man, with all that junk those gut crosses that they're doing, jumping in and out of odd. A lot of times they misfit, and the other teams were able to find it as much as just knocking people off the ball. So, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I told the guys it was going to be a challenge just because of the multiple fronts that they use and how aggressive they are at attacking the run game. But I'm anxious to see. So I'm not just I hadn't seen the tape yet. And, obviously in the course of the game, I'm looking at the point of attack, but then I'm on to the next play. So I'm anxious to see. And I imagine that there's probably going to be some big running lanes there. But the way we operate in the RPO system, Trevor makes the decisions, and I'm not going to question his decisions.
On the Post and Courier, to what would you attribute some of those third down struggles, particularly the third and longs?
In the third and longs, just a couple missed throws. We were off a little bit on some of the throws, and then third and long, we've been I wouldn't say spoiled, but we've been fortunate because we've been able to convert some longs. So that's been the expectation. But when you're talking about third and long, you're talking about a conversion rate somewhere in that 35 to 40%. So that means that you're not going to have, as much success. And they did a good job of, trying to sit on some routes. They were disguising some things, changing some coverages. We were a little bit, causing us to have to progress. And by the time you progress to maybe a different option, it might not be as open as it was early on.
Hey, Tony, Anna with Clemson 24/7. It looked like protection was maybe a little bit leaky early on. Anything there that you noticed?
I knew that they were going to challenge our running backs. I'm anxious to go back and look. I knew that they were going to try and get on some angles on our guys, create some one-on-ones. Before I can fully answer that question, I like to watch the tape because I don't want to misspeak. But overall, I thought that the quarterback did have time in most cases to go through his progression and get the ball downfield. But there may have been a few instances where he had somebody in his face, and I got to go back and watch the tape to be able to tell you exactly what that was.
Tony, this is Matt with the State. Have you been surprised at all at not only this game, but maybe just some struggles as far as maybe moving the line of scrimmage with the running game and kind of opening up holes? And or do you feel like the offensive line has done good in that area this year?
Overall, I felt like the offensive line has led us, and I say that, pretty much in every time I get to talk to the media. But you got to understand when people are going to commit to stopping the run, anytime you bring those gut crosses in there, obviously it's going to be hard for you to create movement because everything's on a one-on-one and guys are on angles and they're trying to time it up. So if you can't stay on double teams for a long time, it's going to be hard to move people at this level. And the last couple of weeks, we knew that people were going to shoot gaps with linebackers. This week, we knew that they were going to gut cross out of odd down to 4 down and create some one-on-one situations and not give us an opportunity to be able to get going north and south with the double teams to move them to the second level. And then they were also going to bring a considerable amount of edge pressure. And anytime you get edge pressure, when you're running a tight inside zone, it causes you to get flat so you don't create as much movement. So the back has to be disciplined to find the creases. And so I'm anxious to watch the tape there. And then another thing, too, is if they're going to commit to that, then we're going to try and find, things in the passing game that they're giving up.
With the running backs behind Travis, is that still a competition, or do you feel like Lyn-J is separated from the rest?
No, I think it's a competition. Obviously, Lyn-J is the most experienced guy, and as of right now, going into the day, he was the second one to go in the game. But definitely still a competition, and got to have all those guys ready. Just because any given day you got to be ready, and so it's definitely a competition, and that's what our program's about. Every day when you go out on the practice field, it's competition, and competition internally, and then competition within your position group, and then competition from one side of the ball to the other.
Tony,
Go ahead, Larry.
You go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to ask, is Kobe Pace a guy that maybe could get some opportunities, or what do you need to see from him to get more chances early on in games?
I think that we've all been impressed with the ball in his hands. I think he is a physical guy, a developed guy that if he gets on the right guy in pass protection, he can definitely get the job done. But the biggest thing is just owning the whole plan. And now that we're getting into the game plan each week, we have our base offense, and then you have game plan specific things. So being able to, handle all of that, because again, when you put them in the game, it's very hard to be situational and say, okay, well, this is going to be a run. So you're in on this one, take them out on pass. Now you're running the screens. And so just for him is just being able to function in totality within the offense so that you can let him get out there and play. But I think there's no question with his running ability. I think we hit a home run on him. He's going to be a stud going forward, but he just has to get into a point to where he understands the entire offense, and then he's disciplined and understands the communication and pass protection. That's what I need to see.
Tony, how much separation did you see in general just from the receivers today out in the passing game?
In separation, I thought we had guys beat. I thought the one that we threw up to Joe there late, if we see that as our first progression, obviously it's a either or, and he thought he had soft coverage there. So I thought the receivers had a little bit of separation. And if we hit a couple of those plays, I think early on down the field, then it's just going to magnify and carry out to within the course of the game. But they were doing a good job of sitting on some routes, forcing us to convert. which they understand. Now I don't know if they understand, but for us, it's kind of gives you a little bit of hesitation. Anytime you have hesitation, it gives somebody an opportunity to be there in stride with you.
Any other questions?
Hard with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to ask: is it hard? I mean, obviously, I know you guys take every game the same, but is it hard at all when you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids, and you see that they lost to Liberty last week by 17 to try to get those guys to maybe respect every opponent and understand that you guys are going to get gunned for every week?
You know, I think our young men understand that. Just got to be consistent week in and week out. I think it's a struggle with any individual, whether they're 18 to 22-year-old or the way you're 40-year-old like myself or you're older, to be consistent every single day. And so this is a great opportunity for us to learn. And the message that I had to our guys is, look, we're not entitled to roll the ball out there and win. Nobody's just going to lay it down for us, and we're not entitled to think that just because we went through the process that it's ultimately going to work out. We got to go out and we got to finish the work, finish the process on the field so that we can play our best game, and our guys will respond. But it's a great opportunity when you're able to not play your best, right, and be able to find a way to win and still be able to win by a good margin. And I'm glad that they were able to find what got tight there. You know, we were able to find defense made a play. Then we were able to come back offensively and kind of get going a little bit, score some points. And so, you know, the alternative is, I think a couple years ago, you know, so some teams, they may not win that game, but our guys found a way. And so there's some positive to build on, but a great opportunity for us to challenge our guys to grow from the standpoint of, hey, this is why we tell you, right? And this is why you got to be committed week in and week out to every portion of the preparation process so that you can have the success, because they got to be reminded that the success that they've had up to this point was not by accident. It's because of how they handled the preparation process.
Hey, Tony, it's Anna again. Just do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know what happened to Lyn-J?
You know, Lyn-J, there was nothing there. Just trying to get some guys, you know, some opportunities. I thought he was playing well. You know, I'm anxious to see what caused him to bounce and create that one TFL there. But trying to get all those guys some other opportunities to compete and to show what they can do, because they worked their butts off throughout the course of the week.
Tony, on the drive to make it 40-21, was the feeling we're just going to give it to our two best horses, and Amari and Travis, sort of ride those two guys?
You know, definitely. You know, at that point in the game when it's tight, you said, "Hey, let's stop thinking about plays and let's start thinking about players, so to speak, and get those guys in there and make them tackle us in space." We knew that was one area that we had to attack, and you know, we had some success there, so we went back to it, and that opened up some of the running game, and we were able to you know, put together a good drive right there.
Coach Elliott, Rob Gobers, WCRS 1450 AM, 90.5 FM in Greenwood. What is your take on today's performance? And I know you've answered this already, but how was it to see Etienne return? Just a little bit of a strain, kind of made everybody kind of gasp a bit. But
Right.
what's your overall take on today's performance by the offense? Just as I talked to Venables, answering the call, able to kind of bounce back, especially in the second half,
Right.
to pull to get a big conference win.
You know, you look there in the first half, you know, you got, I mean, what did we have? I think 24 points or no, 27 points maybe in the first half, 300-something yards, you know, and we shot ourselves in the foot. So, you know, if we make a couple more plays, you know, it's a totally different deal. So definitely not our best performance. Definitely an opportunity for us to take ownership of what we put on film and go get better. But our guys found a way to win. They were tested. They overcame that test. And I saw a group of guys in there that was humble and eager to get back to work so that we can, you know, get back to playing to the standard. So definitely not up to the standard, but not all bad. There's going to be some positive, but definitely an opportunity for us to grow. And Travis, you know, that's the expectation with Travis. I mean, he's a competitor. He loves his teammates. He wants to win, and he went in and, you know, had a little bit of cramping going on, was able to get hydrated a little bit, came out and finished like a champion that he is.
Do one more question. Nope, there's no more questions.
I appreciate it.
That'll be it.
Thank you. Thank you.